Hi everyone, my name's Phil Baldwin. I'm one of the European sales managers for Mark Andy. The reason really behind this video call is to chat with some of our co-suppliers and see what they're facing during these times, what kind of market feedback they're getting, any challenges they're having. So today I have Dave with me from Siegwerk. Siegwerk's our co-supplier globally on inks. In St. Louis demo room, they currently use the Orbis range, and over here in Europe, it's a bit more market orientated, so we use the Secura low migration range. So Dave, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, Phil. Dave Heiser at Siegwerk. I run the BU narrow web inks for USA and Canada, and then also have global responsibility for our narrow web business. I've been with Siegwerk for 10 years, and thanks for the opportunity for this quick interview.
Great. Well, thank you for taking the time to join us. So before we start on the topics, a bit light-heartedness. If you could change anything with a bit of hindsight, what would you have done differently before lockdown?
I think, like a lot of people, I would have liked to have liquidated my portfolio for sure. Maybe there's one or two lucky people out there, I don't know. I missed out on a vacation. So it would have been nice if the whole COVID thing had moved out a few weeks. Wasn't convenient from that perspective.
Well, I think similar to you, I probably would have sold everything I owned and just bought tons of shares in Zoom. Now maybe I would have been having this video call from the Caribbean.
Yeah.
But, so how, since this virus has started, how from a personal level has your routine changed, or how have you had to adapt to business?
Yeah, and maybe a little bit like you, Phil. I live in Minneapolis, and my office is in North Carolina, and of course there's customer things and global things. So I'm gone outside of vacations. I'm gone Monday through Thursday at least every week. So being at home, I guess now for maybe 8 weeks, is dramatically different for me from a work perspective, and certainly for my wife. So yeah, and then just getting used to dealing with customers and coworkers in this sort of environment instead of face to face. So getting more used to it, but it's a challenge. How about yourself?
Well, for me, I'm very similar. I'm used to being away about 45 weeks of the year, complaining about delayed flights and missed connections. But at the moment now, I'm never going to complain again about a delayed flight, a missed connection, anything to go on a plane.
Right.
So, now, as businesses, we're all facing new challenges. I guess being an ink supplier, I guess one of the main challenges for you is supply of pigments or chemicals. How are you managing to avoid any hiccups within your supply chain?
Yeah, and that's been a constant discussion, certainly over the last 2 months. But on that particular topic, for us, it started at the end of the year. When the China thing started in Wuhan, we got orders in to our Chinese suppliers before the end of the year, just in case. So at the time there was a question of whether or not we were overreacting, and it turned out to be absolutely the right move. And of course now for the last 2 months, it's been an India thing. And for us, being primarily a UV ink supplier, China, basically owns the market in photo initiators, and India is a primary source of certain pigments. So, long story short, it's been a daily, certainly weekly monitoring of activities. We are secure now. We're secure through July, and if you could tell me when India's 100% back online, I could give assurance to all our customers. But we're in good shape. We're in good shape so far, and we think we're going to be okay.
Oh, good. That's positive feedback there. Obviously, ourselves, we have a lot of ink demand for our digital machines. We did a similar thing, put in large orders at the start of this. And then we're also having deliveries via sea freight and air freight due to the limited number of air freight, and the cost of sea freight's gone up, but so far we've managed to maintain a level pricing and meet up with demand, so that's good. Obviously, speaking with converters, we get positive market feedback, good look for the future. How are your customers responding to you? Is it positive still?
Yeah, it's been positive for a while. I would have said if we were having this interview, let's say end of February or something like that, and you asked the same question, the customers I've talked to were optimistic. They had started to see, let's call it the order books, increasing in 2020, better than 2019, which I would have said was an average market year. So that was optimistic. And then, of course, for the last 2 months, everyone's been crazy. And even if we could go see customers and work on projects, I think it would be difficult to get any of their time. Their order books are completely full. Everything that we experience with no product on the grocery store shelves, as an example, is because it affects us downstream, our customers, and then ourselves. We've seen our sales in both March and April 20% up. Now, this isn't going to last. It's very nice, but it's not going to last. But I have heard a couple customers talk in terms of they think it's liable to be maybe plus 10% for the next 6 months or so. And I think one of the bets people might be laying is what is retained, what behaviors, what consumer behaviors retain post-COVID. In other words, does the restaurant business die off and more people staying at home and therefore consuming more grocery items? So, it's that sort of thinking. But, basically to your question, people are optimistic. So far, and we're in the right business, I must say.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think print, whenever there's a recession, people stay at home, so there's more demand for packaging. So it's, a recession is never good. But for the print market, it's always quite buoyant. We're seeing continued sales. So yeah, it's looking, same thing in Europe, quite a positive outlook for the future. So last question really for you is, moving forward, when life returns to normal, I think it'll be a new normal. There will be changes, but what do you think you would take from this? Different ways of working. How would you see more video conference calling or?
Yeah, I'll touch on a couple different topics. The employee safety thing has been, really at the forefront of some of the changes that we've made internally, and you guys and everybody else, obviously. Since we've been staying open the entire time, we've made shift arrangements and people aren't working in the office. And I guess one of the things that, we are learning, I'm learning, is that certain functions in the company where I might have said to you a few months ago, absolutely positively needed to occur in the office, we're learning, no, they don't. Are some things more effective in a face-to-face environment? Of course they are, but not all the time. So one of the things that I believe will get retained is we'll increase flexible work environments as we transition, and we're starting to plan for that transition back. As states start to reopen, as they say, we're starting the planning process. We don't have a date yet, but we know it's going to be a transition, and therefore I think we'll retain some of the employee flexibility. Work at home, work in the office type thing. I think it's good for the employee, and it'll be good for us going forward. Certain safety and hygiene topics will become part of our routine, I think, for sure. There will be more of what we're doing right now, but and on that topic, I really do believe that hopefully, when the virus is 100% behind us and people are very comfortable, I think that I think people will rebound to their normal ways. I think the airlines will be full again, the hotels will be full again, and people that had a bias towards working face to face will go back to that fully.
Yeah, I agree. I think the office, as we know it, is going to change moving forward. There'll be a lot more home office, but from the sales cycle, as say when everything gets back to a safe level, possibly end of the year, maybe even into 2021. But I think the sales side will return to face because it's great having face to face over the internet, but you can't share a beer over the internet. So
right.
I think that's one of the things that will change back. From our side, something we've learned and will probably stay in place, or it'll be useful to have in place, is remote training, remote installations. So we found the ability to be able to help and support the customers via things like Zoom or FaceTime or similar apps. So I think there'll be a growth in that, in remote support. But for the sales side, it's going to go back to how it was, I believe. So
yeah, and I agree with you on that remote support. There's always more demand for on-site support than we generally have the people and the capability, and things probably the same as you. They come up at last minute, and if you can leverage technology like this to provide some of that support, yeah, I think that's a win-win for everyone.
Great, fantastic. Well, Dave, I won't take up any more of your time. So thank you for sharing your time to speak with us. And well, for us in the UK, it's a long weekend. So I'll say good weekend to you now.
All right. Thanks for the opportunity, Phil. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Dave.